My name's Bill Kriebel. I'm the president of Branch 254. I have the honor to go over item 3, guidelines for the curtailment or terminations of postal operations to conform to order of the local authorities or the local conditions warrant because of the local conditions. Under Article 3.f, emergencies and the JCAM, this provision gives management the right to take whatever actions may be necessary to carry out its mission in emergency situations. An emergency is defined as an unforeseen circumstance or a combination of circumstances which calls for an immediate action in the situations when it's not expected to be a recurring nature. Some guidelines for both parties. On occasion, emergency conditions may exist, which could cause management to consider the curtailment of services, such as weather extremes, civil defense alerts, bomb scares, no heat in the winter, the low lighting or excessive temperatures, the fires that happen in California or the tornadoes that just ripped through Kentucky. These are unforeseen circumstances. In such cases, management will take into consideration the following factors in the order. The safety and the health of the employees always is number one. The degree of the emergency is stated by and acted upon by reasonable government authorities. So if the government's telling you to stay off the roads, stay off the roads. The requirements of its customers. In situations where local authorities like the police or the city has announced that an emergency exists due to the icy or other weather conditions, and only emergency vehicles should be traveling in those areas, no carrier will be allowed to go out on their route until stated local authorities announce that the emergency situations are clear. So if you have 34 inches of snow on the ground, you're probably not going out to carry mail that day. If there's 2 inches of ice on the ground, you're probably not going out to deliver mail. This is what this item 3 covers. Back to you, Charlie.
Thank you, brother. All right. Next is Brother John the Hitman Cruz, president of Branch 41 Merge, Brooklyn, Staten Island. John's covering items 4 and 5.
Good morning, good afternoon. My name is John Cruz, president of Branch 41, Brooklyn, Staten Island, New York. Thank you, Brother Charlie. I'm covering items 4, the formation of local leave program under Article 10, 4, Section A4, vacation planning. The following general rules should be observed in implementing the vacation planning program. The employee should no later than November 1st publicize on bulletin board and by other appropriate means the beginning date of the new year leave, which shall begin on the first day of the first full pay period of the calendar leave. Now, things that we look for in this section is the responsibilities for the leave scheduling. Supervisor and installation head are accountable for the fair scheduling and approval of leave. The goal is no carrier should lose any portion of their annual leave. 2, vacation planning by carrier. Each carrier is responsible for planning their vacation based on personal preference. The prime choice vacation selection, the selection period, the selection order based on seniority and relative standards, the time allotted of working days per carrier to make selections. If absent, shop steward or union delegate or union representative and management will jointly contact the absent carrier to contact their for their selections. That basically goes for carriers that are on long-term leave, sick leave, OWCP, stuff like that. Reassignment clause. If a carrier transfers to another station, any any previous approved leave will be honored at their new station. Sick leave policy. An employee's sick leave balance cannot be used as a role reason for placing them on a restricted leave. Vacation leave cancellation. Canceling must be in writing, submitted to the supervisor and given an X amount of days notice before the start leave, and the cancel leave period will be posted for bid. posted for bid within 3 to 5 working days. I'm only citing stuff that I have on my local. That's why I say 3 to 5 working days. Um, be awarded to the senior person. If unclaimed during the bid, it becomes available on a first come, first served basis. Request for additional annual leave, choice or non-choice period. If requested time is fully booked, the request will be retained to mark as altered 1, 2, or 3, etc. Article 10(4), Section 4. In each office, a submission of applicants for annual leave for the period other than the choice period may be established to the implementation process. Applying for annual leave outside the choice vacation. Article 10, Section 4C should read in conjunction with Article 10.3A and Article 10.3 D4 and the local memorandum provision established to Article 30 B12. The local memorandum must provide for 2 different kinds of leave rules under Article 30. A, selection outside the choice vacation period, and any local memorandum of understanding must establish additional rounds for bidding immediately following the choice vacation selection, enabling carriers to make advanced vacation selections during the time outside the choice vacation period or during any remaining time during the choice vacation period. Other requests for annual leave in addition, a local memorandum may specifically rule governing other rules for annual leave which were made as need arise throughout the years. That you find in like I said, Article 10.4C in the JCAM. And then the canceling of other annual leave not prime must cancel the entire leave request. May give an X amount of days written. The vacation period will be posted and award to the senior bidder again. All right, so now I'll go to item 5, which is the choice vacation duration proposed. Right. So there's 3 scenarios to this, the way I look at it. I'm not going to speak much on an arbitration case that Brother Corey gave me. He'll speak on it a little later on, which is a great arbitration case that he proposed with this, but he has more of the details. I actually did read it, but he'll speak more on it. He'll put more detail on it. But the proposed choices that choice vacation period, January 1st through December 31st, full calendar year included, most flexible. January 1st through December 15th, slightly shorter, less than 2 weeks out, or January 1st through November 30th, excluding all of December. And the reason why I mentioned those things, that's with the arbitration case that Brother Corey is going to speak on later on, which they were able to get the month of December included through an arbitration case. So he'll speak more on that. That's all I have, Brother Charlie. Thank you so much.
Thank you, brother. All right. Who do we have in the house? We have Mr. Richie, the Giant Killer Ray, in the house. Let's have a sip of our coffee and listen to him cover items 6 and 7.
Thank you, Charlie. Good afternoon and good morning, brothers and sisters. My name is Richie Ray from Branch 41. I'm covering item 6, the determination of beginning day of an employee's vacation period. The vacation period begins either on Saturday or on a Monday. Brothers and sisters, pay period begins on Saturday and ends on a Friday. But for vacation, you can select vacation will begin on Monday and ends on Sunday. I will include all the days of the week to protect the CCA and PTS for vacation. Vacation week shall begin on a Monday and end on a Sunday, or a vacation week shall begin on a Saturday and end on a Friday. I would take a survey with your members to see what they prefer, either start their vacation on a Saturday or end their vacation or begin their vacation on a Monday. In my installation, we take Monday to Sunday. The benefit of taking Monday to Sunday is that carriers will be able to use Saturday or Sunday as a travel day for vacation. Look, I don't want to come back to work on a Saturday and then take Sunday off and come back on Monday. I prefer to take my full week. That's just a suggestion. Item 7, whether employees at their option may request 2 selections during the choice vacation period in units of either 5 or 10 days. The local parties can simply state whether there will be 1 or 2 selections during the choice vacation period. You could say in your local that you need to pick the 10 days consecutive, or you can pick your 10 days separately. This is up to what you're comfortable with. I will pick 1 and 1, not the 2 and 1s. So I can pick a week in July and a week in August instead of picking the 10 days back to back in July. This provision to give more options to your members. This is all I have, Charlie. Thank you.
Thank you, brother. Appreciate it. Next, it's my pleasure to introduce Sister Kimetra, the Dragon Slayer Lewis, President of the Lone Star Branch 132, Dallas, Texas. We'll be talking about items 8 and 9. Sister.
Hello, everyone. Thank you, Charlie. As Charlie said, my name is Kimetra Lewis. I am the Dallas Lone Star Branch 132 President, and I have been charged with the responsibility of discussing items 8 and 9 of the local negotiations. Item number 8, whether jury duty and attendance at national or state conventions shall be charged to the choice vacation period. The language found in Article 10.3F covers this provisions of item number 8. It reads, an employee who is called for jury duty during the employee's scheduled choice vacation period, or who attends a national, state, or regional convention during the choice vacation period is eligible for another available period, provided this does not deprive any other employee of first choice or scheduled vacation. This is just an added protection to ensure that letter carriers receive their contractual rights to utilize their accrued annual leave for what it was designed for, rest and relaxation. With the correct language, this would guarantee that anyone on jury duty or anyone attending a state and national convention can do so without the fear of losing a week of choice vacation. An example of the language a branch can use for its local is employees called for jury duty during their selected leave periods shall be given an opportunity to select another available period. The week of the national or state convention will be blocked out for delegates. Remaining leave will be offered to other carriers as choice leave. Another example of language that can be used is jury duty and or attendance at the national or state conventions shall not be charged to individual employees' choice vacation period. The local president will submit the number of delegates and dates for those attending by the beginning of the leave year. The leave for national and state conventions shall be blocked off to ensure the delegates may be granted leave in accordance with Article 24(2)(b) of the National Agreement. Now let's look at item number 9. Item number 9 is the determination of the maximum number of employees who shall receive leave each week during the choice vacation period. One way of wording the language for this provision is, for the purpose of vacation planning, at least 14% of the carrier workforce at each unit shall be granted scheduled annual leave in any week during the choice leave. Decimals will be rounded and less than 0.5 will be dropped, and 0.5 or more will be carried to the next whole number. The carrier workforce will encompass the total number of city carrier routes along with the number of regulars, PTFs, and CCAs as of November 1st of each year. This is one of the items in the local that has been rumored management is attempting to make changes to due to the new Article 8 changes. Management is making claims that the new Article 8 changes could potentially affect the number of employees available for work, thus increasing overtime. Therefore, in their opinion, we should reduce the percentage off to ensure the mail gets delivered. If you are presented with this proposal for management, please understand this is only an assumption. To make a change to the percentage of carriers allowed off each week during the choice vacation period, management would have to show that the current percentage off is causing an unreasonable burden to the Postal Service. That burden would be impossible for management to establish, since they will have no data to support their opinion. As you begin these negotiations, know your rights. In the Memorandum of Understanding between the United States Postal Service and the National Association of Letter Carriers, AFL-CIO, regarding local implementation, number 6 reads, LMOU items existing prior to the 2016 local implementation period may not be challenged as inconsistent or in conflict unless already subject to a pending arbitration appeal. That basically means those items incorporated in your local negotiations prior to 2016 that are not pending arbitration appeal are now grandfathered in. Management cannot challenge those provisions as inconsistent or in conflict of the national agreement during these negotiations. Know that and use it as your main argument in the event you have to impasse an item that has been a long-standing part of your past local agreements. Take charge and let management know who has the power in this process. Now we'll turn it back over to Charlie.
I got a question, sister.
Okay.
Which method is better, a percentage of people off or a fixed number?
In my opinion, the percentage of employees off is better. And the reason being, if there's a possibility at any given time that you can have more carriers in your installation than you had the prior years. And if you have more, then that would mean you would gain an additional slot. If you have a fixed number of carriers being off on any week during choice vacation and the numbers increase, you're forced to stuck with that fixed number. So I think it's better that you use a percentage method.
Thank you, sister. I appreciate it. And now, the one and the only, Corey, the treacherous Walton, Secretary of Branch 4, Nashville, Tennessee, and the host of the A2 arbitration. He'll be covering items 10, 11, and 12.
All right. Thank you, Charlie Gunslinger Miller. I appreciate that intro there. We can't leave you out with the nicknames, my brother. So, hey, everybody that's listening, understand that Mallory has put together 576 LMOUs. 576. So if anybody has any questions, or if there's any new presidents in here that are wondering about each of these line items, how to interpret those things, how other branches interpret those, if you need any help whatsoever, go to concernedlettercarriers.com. All of those LMOUs will be put up there. And so you can read those things. If certain things aren't making sense to you, go and look at those other branches' LMOUs, and you can get a great idea on things to address. I'm going to read my branches on item 12. I'm going to read my branches and pull out some very good things for you. But Make sure you get on concernlettercarriers.com and look at those LMOUs. There's 576 that she's pulled up. So she's put a lot of time into this to help each and every one of us during this local negotiation period. So I've got 10, 11, and 12. They told me I only had an hour and a half to do these three, so I need to get moving. If you, that was just a joke. But if you look at 10, and this is going to be very simple. It's as simple as it sounds. The issuance of official notices to each employee of the vacation schedule approved for such employee. In our branch, what happens is the station manager will put out a notice on our case ledge giving us days, an empty schedule. We'll put in what we want to use as far as our vacation for the year. The station manager and myself, we will sit down together, approve those things by seniority, sign off on them, and put them back on the carrier's case ledge. That's all that is for us. Some places may do it differently, but that's all it is. And so, again, if you look through those LMOUs, if you have something different you want to use, that's perfectly fine. But that's as basic and simple as that is. Number 11, or item 11, determination of the date and means of notifying employees of the beginning of the new leave year. And you're going to find that in Article 10.4a. 10.4a says the employer shall no later than November 1 publicize on bulletin boards and by other appropriate means the beginning date of the new leave year, which shall begin with the first day of the first full pay period of the calendar year. It says notification of start of the new leave year. Article 10.4a should be read in conjunction with any applicable LMOU provisions established pursuant to Article 30B11, which is what we're dealing with here. The local installation head must notify all employees when the new leave year will begin. Where LMOU provisions established pursuant to Article 30B11 provide for another date and means of notifying employees, the LMOU is controlling. So the LMOU, if you have language in your LMOU that trumps that, your LMOU is controlling in that matter. Again, if you have any questions about that, get into those LMOUs of different branches and check those things out. That will be a vital resource for a lot of us listening today. If you look at item 12, the procedures for submission of applications for annual leave during other than the choice vacation period. That's going to be found on page 1011 of the JCAM. It's 10.4c, and this is the one I'm going to read the language off of my local here in our branch because I love the language in there. It's very good language. We've won a lot of grievances off of this language alone. But 10.4c, it reads, a procedure in each office for submission of applications for annual leave for periods other than the choice period may be established pursuant to the implementation procedure above. Applying for annual leave outside choice period, Article 10.4c should be read in conjunction with Article 10.3a and 3d4 and any applicable LMOU provisions established pursuant to Article 30b12, which is what we're dealing with. The LMOU may provide for two different kinds of leave rules under Article 30b12. A, selections outside the choice period. An LMOU may establish additional rounds of bidding immediately following the choice selections, enabling carriers to make advanced vacation selections during time outside the choice vacation period, or during any remaining time during the choice vacation period. B, other requests for annual leave. In addition, an LMOU may specify rules governing other requests for annual leave which are made as the need arises throughout the year rather than through the advanced annual vacation bidding process. For example, a carrier might win tickets to a World Series game the following week and request leave to attend. A typical LMOU might specify that such leave requests must be made prior to the posting of next week's schedule. It also might specify how long management has to reply to such requests, set forth procedures for handling daily leave, and specify priorities by seniority or first come, first served for both advance and daily requests for annual leave. And this is important, where LMOU provisions do not cover rules concerning annual leave of this type. The ELM, section 512.61A provides for all regular employees, both full-time and part-time, vacation leave is granted when requested to the extent practicable. So if you don't have an LMOU provision, you're leaving it entirely up to management. So I would not do that. I would make sure if you don't have an LMOU provision dealing with item 12, make sure you get one. Our branches is perfect, and I'm gonna read it to you, but this is our item 12 in my local branches LMOU, and I love the language, especially on number 2. It says request for incidental leave will be submitted on Form 3971 no later than Tuesday prior to the service week in which annual leave is desired. Leave will be granted up to the percentage in item 9. The following will be included in the percentage allowed off. Now read that again. The following will be included in the percentage allowed off. 2, all annual leave. That is fantastic language. Why is that? Because management will always try to put sick leave on a vacation schedule, extended sick leave on a vacation schedule, military leave on a vacation schedule. Try to put days off. When somebody takes 40 hours of leave, they'll try to put the entire week on there, the carrier. Annual leave only. A lot of people are trying to adopt that language, and I don't blame them. It's fantastic language. Annual leave only will be counted on the vacation schedule. And so that's just a few of the things that you can look at. Again, get in there and look in those sites and those LMOUs, over 500. So if you're a new president, get on there, check those things out, and it'll help you out. That's all I got, Charlie.
Well, I got a question for you, brother. What
Yes,
are your
sir.
thoughts on a year-round choice period?
I love that idea. And here's the reason why. And I'm going to talk about the arbitration site that John Cruz was talking about earlier. Why not? Why not go for it? We had an arbitration in 2014 where in our LMOU, it did not cover December. So management just wouldn't give leave in December because there was nothing stating they had to. So we took that forward to arbitration. And if you look on page 30-5 of the JCAM, it talks about the burden. And it says what may be impassed. And on the third bullet point is the most critical one. And it states this: where management submits a proposal to arbitration to change an existing local memo provision, it has the burden of establishing that continuation of the existing provision would represent an unreasonable burden to the Postal Service. And the next part is the most important. There is no such burden on the union when it seeks to change a local memorandum. So that is completely in our pocket. It says that the Postal Service, if they're wanting to change a provision in the LMOU, they're going to have to show an unreasonable burden, and they understand that. If you look at the minutes that they sent out on their headquarter training, they talk over and over and over again about the very difficult burden to meet to change anything. It's an unreasonable burden. We don't have that burden. And so when we took this to arbitration, if you don't mind, I'm just going to read a little bit of it. But it was in front of arbitrator August, and she talks about that. And I'm going to talk a little bit about what Kimetra said. I got 5 minutes left. I'll hurry up. It says the union provided sufficient evidence to demonstrate that December should be included in the choice vacation period. Management, by their own admission, was already approving time off for carriers during that time frame, approximately 5%, which was not true. Although management was seeking to predict the problems which might occur with the use of holiday carrier assistance, those issues are possible but not definite. Time is on the side of management to plan for the obstacles and put contingencies in place to avoid the issues they anticipate. This is a burden they assume when they become a manager, which is some of the best language ever. This is a burden they assume when they become a manager. Including the month of December, the choice vacation selection allows management the entire year to plan coverage for that month. Unanticipated changes such as attrition of CCAs or unexpected absences can occur at any time and are not exclusive to the month of December. And that's a good point, Charlie, to what you're talking about. Unanticipated changes such as attrition of CCAs or unexpected absences can occur at any time and are not exclusive to the month of December. Yet the remainder of the year is already included in the choice period. Having the flexibility of higher holiday help should allow December to be less of an issue than other months of the year. Then I turned into the site from arbitrator Swari, and she used that, but then she ended with this. Then I'll be done. I got 3 minutes. The situation in the instant case is very similar. The union provided legitimate reasons for the proposed changes in line item 5 of the LMOU. Its proposal was further legitimized by management's agreement to allow a lower percentage of carriers off during December, but nonetheless allowing carriers to take annual leave during that month. Management's objections in this case, like in the cited case, amounted to little more than the possibility of future challenges that may or may not take place when dealing with the new holiday carrier assistance. And so inconveniences, when you are dealing with these negotiations, inconveniences, regrets, you hear them talking about, we wish we would have never volunteered to give y'all pizza or whatever. Regrets, speculations, none of those are an unreasonable burden. None of those are an unreasonable burden. Like Kimetra was talking about, the potential of an effect of something. Arbitrators aren't going to rule on the potential effect of something. They've got to show with hard data that what's going to happen is going to be an unreasonable burden. It's going to be almost impossible for them to meet that. But Charlie, yes, I would say go for it. If you don't have it, go for it. There's nothing to lose. You don't have it. So if you lose an arbitration, you're going back to where you were. And so, yes, I would say go for it, because we don't have the burden that management has. We basically had to put a prima facie case up, and then that burden falls on management, and all they're going to be able to come up with is speculation. This may harm us. This could be harm to us down the road. And we have sites where arbitrators said, hey, that's not good enough. And so, yeah, I would take a shot at it, Charlie. Sorry about all that reading to answer your question, but I would definitely take a shot at it.
Thank you, brother. Appreciate it. Well, congratulations, everybody. We've passed the halfway point. Next up, we have the very dynamic Mr. Dave Knuckles Grosskopf, president of Branch 3, Buffalo, New York, who's going to talk about item 13.
Thank you, Brother Miller. As Charlie said, I'm tasked with item 13, which is the method for selecting employees to work on the holiday. When you're going into this negotiation, there's a little bit of background here that you should be aware of. And I've got that up on the screen here. It'll be JCAM page 11-3. And those are items A, B, C, and D. I won't read the language. It's there in front of you. But when negotiating a pecking order for holiday work, keep in mind that the purpose that underlies Article 11, Section 6, and be sure management understands that purpose. That purpose in Article 11.6 is designed to permit the maximum number of full-time and part-time regular employees to be off on the holiday should they desire not to work, while simultaneously protecting the rights of employees who wish to work on their holiday or designated holiday. That background is contained mostly there in 11.6b. The Joint Contract Administration Manual has not yet been updated with the changes in 2023 of the national agreement. Considering this, the national parties have routinely agreed in the JCAM that in the absence of an LMOU provision or a past practice concerning holiday assignments, a certain pecking order should be followed. That pecking order is contained in the JCAM, and the national parties plan for a minimum pecking order to appear in the updated JCAM. And that minimum pecking order, again, appears on JCAM page 11-4, and there's 6 subsets on there, which, again, I won't read to you. You can see that or turn to that page in the JCAM. Branches may choose to incorporate the JCAM pecking order into the LMOU or they may negotiate different holiday scheduling provisions that conform with the provisions of Article 11, Section 6. The JCAM specifically provides that, quote, adverse inferences concerning whether a pecking order contained in an LMOU is inconsistent or in conflict with the language of Article 11.6 should not be drawn solely because of the parties at the national level have agreed to a default pecking order, unquote. If an LMOU has a pecking order different from the JCAM default pecking order, branches should make sure that the LMOU pecking order includes city carrier assistance and part-time flexibles in that classification, as when the CCAs came in, the PTF classification was taken out of a lot of LMOUs. So make sure you've got all your classifications covered in there. And in the local here in Buffalo, New York, we have an example of that. When you go to our Article 11, Section 6, we actually break the holiday schedule into sections for the purpose of scheduling on holidays and designated holidays. We have two sections. The first section is each carrier unit covering a zip code area, and the second is part-time regular carriers working collections. So there's two different pecking orders for those things. Then there's also a caveat in there. In the event full-time day collections or parcel post assignments are reestablished, for those of you that have been around a long time like myself, you understand what I'm talking about. This will be the subject of good faith bargaining between the parties. So if we ever get back some of this package or parcel growth and volume that we've had in the past, hopefully we can put those parcel post assignments back in there. Then you've got language in there that spurs management to come to you and bargain in good faith over those jobs coming back to us. The last part of my presentation here is a sample proposal. If you're basically starting from scratch and or maybe you're not liking what you see as the default in the JCAM. The sample proposal on the screen below requires carriers who will be paid overtime to be scheduled before carriers who will receive holiday premium pay. It also requires that all full-time volunteers be scheduled before any part-time flexibles or city carrier assistants. And that sample proposal, again, has 6 bullet points. All full-time, part-time, regular employees who possess the necessary skills and have volunteered to work on their non-scheduled day by seniority. Number 2, all full and part-time employees who possess the necessary skills and have volunteered to work on their holiday or designated holiday by seniority. Number 3, all part-time flexibles to the maximum extent possible, even if the payment of overtime is required. Number 4, all city carrier assistants to the maximum extent possible, even if the payment of overtime is required. Number 5, full-time regulars who do not volunteer on what would otherwise be their non-scheduled day by inverse seniority. And lastly, number 6, full-time regulars who do not volunteer on what would otherwise be their holiday or designated holiday by inverse seniority. Be sure to talk with your carriers in the installation that are affected by those potential changes. Remember to utilize surveys to help the branch officers understand what the membership believes to be important to them. If you do that, you're not going to have any issues when you go into that room and you negotiate something, because the membership is telling the leadership exactly what they'd like to see in that LMOU. And with that, Charlie, that concludes my presentation. Thank you.
Thank you, brother. I have a question, though.
Yes, sir.
With regard to your sample proposal, item 5 and 6, why do you schedule or suggest that non-scheduled carriers come in rather than the carriers designated on the holiday?
It's a pretty famous line in a movie, right? Show me the money. When you're coming in on your non-scheduled day, you're getting paid time and a half. When you're coming in on your holiday, you're only going to make straight time. So we want to get those. If I'm working, I certainly don't want to come in at straight time. I absolutely, if I have to come into work and I don't want to, I want to be paid time and a half. So that's why we prioritize that.
Thank you, brother.
Thank you.
All right. Well, the hunter is returning. Mr. Bill Kriebel is going to tell us about item 14.
All right. Thanks, Charlie. I hope everybody's having a good time and getting some really good knowledge out of this. So I have the honor of going over item 14, whether overtime desired list in Article 8 shall be by sanction or tour. This, from everything I've been reading, this is probably one of the most challenged things that the post office is actually looking at. They look at this as a way that they're going to save on the grievance money and the escalations of the remedies that we have, but I'll get into that in a second. But in most locals, it's understood that the overtime desired list shall be established on an installation-wide basis under the following guidelines. All employees on the overtime desired list will be used when needed for the overtime assignments on their non-scheduled days when vacancies exist. And overtime assignments is given to those employees on the overtime desired list in addition to their rights of the 8-hour assignment will be shared by the employees on that list. So always remember, as a practical matter, in most installations, letter carriers do not work during more than one tour. These lists can be maintained by defined sections, such as an individual station or by zones, for parcel post routes, collection routes, etc. Seniority does not govern the availability of the overtime for those carriers who wish to work on that overtime, nor is overtime distributed on a rotating basis. Article 8.5.C.2 provides that those carriers will sign the ODL. Overtime opportunities must be distributed equitably. This does not mean that actual overtime hours must be distributed equally. To read more about the whole equabilities, you can check out Arbitrator Bernstein's rulings from October 14th, 1986 under C-06364. Now, pursuant to the new Article 8 changes in the 2023-2026, multiple ODL lists will begin at the beginning of the third quarter, which starts on July 1st. The new overtime desired list ODL are up to 12 hours. There's no longer an option to sign up for the 10-hour list or the 12 hours. It's all or none. This provision will affect a ton of carriers, especially like the single parents that had the ability to work that 10 hours and then go pick up their children at daycare. This helped them earn that extra money to make their families work. That is gone. Therefore, the previous ODL carriers must re-sign their option only once on a new list at the beginning of the third quarter. So, the list, they should be made a two list. You may sign to one or both overtime lists at their option. Employees may add their names or switch lists only during the 2-week period at the start of the quarter. So, if you're opening up your local and when you're making an adjustment to the local, maybe just adding an S to the end of list and just make it plural. Article 8.5A was modified to create new ODLs. One, for employees desiring to work up to 12 hours per day on their regular scheduled days only, and one for employees desiring to work the only overtime for 8 hours per day on their non-scheduled days. Let me read that to you guys again, because this is what needs to be hit home. One list is for the employees desiring to work up to 12 hours per day on their regular scheduled days only, and one for employees desiring to work only overtime for 8 hours per day on their non-scheduled days. Now, employees may sign both lists and are eligible to work up to 12 hours per day on their regular scheduled days and their non-scheduled days. Now, Article 8.5.C.2b has been modified to make it clear that overtime must be equitably distributed amongst employees who are on the same ODL. Employees are no longer able to indicate a preference to work the excess of the 10 hours on a regular scheduled day. So a lot of PowerPoints and stuff is surfaced. So in management's PowerPoints, they're focused heavily on this item. They look at this as the numbers of the grievances will go away, of the fact that they violate the contract every day, especially when it comes to the Article 8s. Management then proceeds to discuss their 1260 as a reduction in the grievance process exceeding these limits. Management also points out how we've been successful as a union escalating remedies for the repetitive violations going up as high as 450%. As we all know in the 1260-hour rule, well, now the pay is 2.5% for going over. But with the volunteer provisions that is in this new contract, the carriers can do this. I think that would be very hard to track the volunteer portion. So that is something you might want to work on with your executive council inside your branch. But they believe that the grievances will lessen. And currently, as we are right now, there's no exceptions for the volunteers. Back to you, Charlie.